Welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective with Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. Planning for your financial future means navigating challenges like market volatility, inflation, and retirement income. Pankinen Financial Perspective is here to help by addressing common financial concerns, sharing valuable strategies, and exploring ways you can work toward your financial goals. Now let's get started with Pankinen Financial Perspective.
Hello and welcome to Pankinen Financial Perspective. My name is Ashton Pankinen from Pankinen Financial Group. If you'd like more information about what you hear during our show today, give us a call at 952-873-2703 or visit us online at pankinenfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com. And while at my website, click on the radio page to check out past shows and to subscribe to our program on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or Amazon Music. Also, while on my page, click the latest link at the top to get the retirement guide. Today, we're talking about something we believe touches every single person who's planning for retirement or who should be. There are specific ages along the way that trigger important decisions, open new opportunities, or may carry real financial consequences if you miss them. And today, we're going to walk through all of them. We're drawing from a U.S. News and World Report article titled 10 Important Ages for Retirement Planning. It's concise, well-organized, and we'll look at milestones that shape how you save, when you claim, and how you manage your money across your working and retirement years. And as always, I'm glad to have my co-host, Tony Shore, here with me today.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, Ashton, you and I were having some fun before the show. We were listening to some retirement polkas.
Yeah, retirement polka music.
From Retirement Polkas Volume 1. It's available on all the streaming services for the kids. But how about you? How have you been? I mean, it's the big 250th anniversary celebration of the U.S., the signing.
Yeah.
Big 4th of July weekend. No big plans, though?
Nothing too crazy planned. Kids are a little young for fireworks yet.
Yeah.
Gets to be a little late for that to happen. No big plans for the weekend. Last weekend, though, we had a great time. We went to a local event here at Union Hill Ballpark. The Hometown Bats put on every year they do a fundraiser. Well, for the last 10 years, they've done a fundraiser. We had the honor of sponsoring, Pankinen Financial Group sponsored, and they did a fundraiser for a boy named Jacob from Belle Plaine here, and he's in a wheelchair now, and we actually were able to, with the funds raised, get his family an accessible van.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
and then I guess
great.
I haven't heard the final numbers either, but I guess they raised a bunch of money on top of that as well, and so it was a really fun event for the family. Yeah, it was a great opportunity to support someone here local, and so that's what we did last weekend, and it was a blast.
Not only is it fun, but it's a great cause. I think that's fantastic. I mean, one of those wheelchair accessible vans can't be cheap. That's really expensive.
And his family didn't have one before, so they had to lift him in and out of the vehicle. And
sure,
it was fun to see that family get that support and
I mean,
make their life a little easier.
That's great. I think that's fantastic. And so today's topic, we're talking about some key retirement ages, and people might think, "Oh, I know some of these," or "Why is this important?" But these are actual ages with actual deadlines, and the decisions tied to these, they could follow you for decades. So you don't want to make the wrong decisions, and you want to know what's going on. So let's start at the beginning. We're going to start with the youngins, at least to me, they're young, and that's not as young to you, but what should people in their 30s or 40s be doing right now when it comes to retirement savings?
Yeah. And I mean, those people are very young, Tony. And those people, I mean me. I fall in this category.
There you go.
Almost dead center here of the category here.
Sure.
The short answer is as much as they possibly can. I know that's easier said than done, but the math really does favor starting early and being consistent. That compound growth, compound interest needs time to do its work. And the earlier you begin, the less you have to scramble later. And for 2026, the 401k contribution limit for those 49 and younger is $24,500. And so if your workplace plan allows it, that's what you're aiming for. And then you also have the individual retirement account limit, the IRA, whether that's traditional or Roth, is $7,500. And now not everyone can max out both of those, but the goal is to get as close as possible and then consider increasing your contribution rate every time your income goes up, every time you get that raise at work. Younger investors tend to have a longer time horizon, which means they can afford to take a bit more investment risk. And that doesn't mean being reckless, but it does mean you have more runway to recover from market swings. And that's an advantage you lose as you get older.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's important. It makes sense because the early years are really, like you say, about building the habit and maximizing what you can put away. And that's good. What happens or what changes when you turn 50? Let's talk about 50 years old. I always hear that age thrown around.
Yeah. And at 50, the IRS gives you a boost. Catch-up contributions kick in, and they can be meaningful. Workers who are 50 or older can contribute up to $32,500 into that 401k or 403b government 457 plan, as well as the federal thrift savings plan. The standard is $24,500 limit plus that $8,000 catch-up contribution. And so there also are some catch-up contributions for IRAs as well, traditional and Roth IRAs. That limit goes up to $8,600. That's the $7,500 standard limit, plus an $1,100 catch-up. And so again, these matter a lot for people who maybe weren't able to save as aggressively in their 30s and 40s. At that point, maybe they had kids at home, mortgages, unexpected expenses. The catch-up contribution or catch-up provisions that the IRS have in reality give people a chance to accelerate their savings in years when maybe their earning potential is higher at its peak, and then maybe the kids are out of the house and expenses are down a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And so 50 is where you really want to assess your situation and kick it down if you can at all. Maximize, take advantage of those catch-up contributions that you're talking about. And then I think there's something at 55, right? But maybe a lot of people haven't heard about this one. What's the rule of 55? Yeah.
So that's one provision that tends to surprise people when they first learn about it. If you leave your job at 55 or older, whether you're laid off, retire early, or simply choose to move on, you may be eligible for a penalty-free withdrawal from that employer 401k plan. It's sometimes called that rule of 55. The key word is current. It has to be the plan from your most recent employer. It doesn't apply to those old 401ks that you may have from previous employers. And now just because you take those withdrawals or can take those withdrawals doesn't mean you necessarily should. The conventional guidance is that it may be better to roll the money into an IRA, which typically offers more investment opportunities and more flexibility. And then a lot of times you get an advisor on it that you can speak to on a regular basis. And then starting to draw down retirement savings at 55, unless you really have to, or you have a health situation that changes the math, could mean running short of income later in life. And so it's good to know the rule exists and to check whether you qualify before you make any moves. But it's not necessarily a reason to start spending that money unless, again, it's part of your plan that you've put together with an advisor.
So now let's jump up to the next one. We're still in the 50s. And for some reason, I always shake my head and laugh at this one, Ashton. 59 and a half. And that's a number a lot of people out there have probably heard of or maybe have in the back of their minds is, hey, that's like the finish line for the penalty. That's when I can start accessing all that money in my retirement accounts. 59 and a half. Why the half year?
Yeah, great question. Yeah.
That always gets me because the only time no one over the age of 5 celebrates half birthdays. You never ask an adult, how old are you? Well, I'm
37 and a half.
37 and a half, or I'm 41 and a half. Nope. But you just know that's so government. It's so IRS that they were sitting around. They argued, half of them wanted 59, the other half wanted 60.
Let's split the difference, huh?
Or somebody just said, the math, we'll make the math trickier for people. They'll have to stop. We don't want to make it too easy. We don't want to make it a nice round number.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's surprising how many people know when that date to that half birthday. Because of this rule.
Yeah. And guess what, though? I'm not one of them. I don't keep track half birthdays. And this past year, actually, I turned 60 in March.
Yeah.
So, but when my half birthday came late last year, I got my phone rang and I answered. And I probably told the story on the show before, but It's Jeff Foley, financial advisor. Hey, Tony, just calling to wish you a happy 59 and a half birthday. Called on the day.
Yeah.
On the day. So he was keeping track. He wanted to know what I was doing with that 401k money is what he wanted to know. Yep. So let's talk about 59 and a half.
Yeah. So again, 59 and a half, that 10% early withdrawal penalty does go away. You can begin taking money from your 401k, your IRA, other qualified retirement accounts without that additional 10% penalty. Now, I want to be clear that the penalty free doesn't mean tax free. If you have that traditional 401k or traditional IRA, those contributions were made on a pre-tax basis, meaning you got a tax deduction on those. So withdrawals are still subject to ordinary income tax. What's gone is that 59 and a half is that penalty on top of the income. And that's part of the reason why I tell clients it's so expensive to take out before 59 and a half, because not only are we paying the ordinary income tax, but we're also paying that 10% penalty. So you might lose up to 40% of your account just to take that early withdrawal. Roth accounts do work differently. Qualified Roth withdrawals are tax-free because you contribute after-tax dollars to begin with. And unlike traditional IRAs, Roth IRAs don't have a required age to start the withdrawals. You can let that money sit and grow indefinitely if you don't need it. It's also worth noting here, Tony, that you're not required to start taking money from a 401k or traditional IRA at 59 and a half. Just because you have the option to do without a penalty doesn't mean it makes sense to do it. The required withdrawal age doesn't come until much later, and we'll get into that later in the show here.
Yeah, we'll hit that age eventually. But before we go any further, let our listeners out there know how they can get a hold of you if they have questions about this, want to get a plan in place, want to make sure they're making the right decisions and are on track with their savings and investments.
Yeah, if you're listening today and any of this is raising questions about your own timeline, like when to retire, how to sequence your withdrawals, whether your savings are on track, give us a call, 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703. Visit our website, pankoninfinancial.com, PANKONIN financial.com, to schedule a complimentary consultation. And these are the exactly kind of conversations we have every day, and we'd love to help you think it through. I actually had somebody call me out of the blue, and it's, hey, I'm 59 and a half. I've got my 401k. I need to do something with it to get some advice on it. And so if you're 59 and a half, give us a call.
Yeah. And you can do a direct transfer, a rollover, and then in a lot of cases, then you don't have to pay taxes if you're rolling it over into another tax deferred account. So
correct.
There are a lot of strategies, but do not make those decisions without working with somebody
for sure.
Like Ashton Pankinen.
Yep.
You got to work with a trusted financial services professional. Okay, so that was 59. Let's pick up right where I'm at. 60 and the 60 to 63 window, because I think there's something new here worth unpacking, right?
Yeah, there is, and it's relatively recent. Under that Secure 2.0 Act, workers age 60 through 63 may qualify for what's being called a super catch-up contribution in their workplace retirement plan. In 2026, the enhanced catch-up limit for most 401ks, 403bs, governmental 457 plans is about $11,250. So that brings the total potential employee contribution up to $35,750 for people in that age 60 to 63 range, if the plan permits it, if it allows it. So for someone in that window who has a capacity to save aggressively, this is a real opportunity to do that. You're close enough to retirement that every dollar you put away now has a meaningful impact. And the IRS is letting you put away more than ever before. And again, not every plan is set up to accommodate this. So it's worth checking with your plan administrator, your financial advisor, to confirm what your specific plan allows.
Yeah. And then when we hit 62, that's a big age, 62. That's when Social Security enters the picture, or at least the possibility of Social Security. Give us some insight into this decision. This is a big one that a lot of people would love to hear your take on.
It is. And, age 62 is the earliest that you can claim Social Security retirement benefits for a lot of people. And that's genuinely appealing. You've been working hard your whole career. You've been paying into the system. And the idea of finally getting to get some of that back has a real emotional pull. but there are some significant trade-offs to claiming at 62, and I think it's important to be direct about them. First, claiming early results in permanent reduction of your monthly benefit. And so for those born after 1960, the full retirement age is age 67. And if you claim at 62, that's 5 years early, that reduction is substantial, and you'd be locking in those lower monthly payments for the rest of your life. And then second, if you're still working and you claim benefits at age 62 and earn above a certain limit, your Social Security payments may become reduced. And so you could end up in a situation where you're bringing income in from work and Social Security, but that Social Security piece is smaller than expected because of the earnings test. And so the guidance in the article is pretty clear. Claiming at 62 may not be a good idea unless you don't have other options. If you need the income or there's a health situation where longevity isn't on your side, 62 may make sense. But for people who have flexibility, waiting is almost always the better financial move, and especially when those life expectancies are as long as they are today. I had a client come in and we talked about when to draw, and we said, hey, it's probably not the best idea to claim at 62. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, it's the client's decision, and he decided to claim. And about 6 months in, he's like, geez, maybe I shouldn't have claimed. And so again, it's a decision you want to sit down and put some thought into, because once you do it, it's a permanent decision.
Yeah, and you're locking in a much lower rate. As you mentioned, if you do file early at 62, you might think, well, I'll get more checks, but there is a sweet spot. And I know, Ashton, you can run a report for people that will help them see where their sweet spot is. Like, oh, maybe it makes sense to wait. Maybe it doesn't. Everybody's situation is different. Don't file at 62 just because your neighbor or your coworker did, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's we've got 1,000. We can run a scenario that does 1,000 different setups for it, and so again, we can kind of see what the ideal is. And if we knew how long we were going to live, I can tell you exactly when to take Social Security, right. But we don't know that, and so we try and make the best educated decision with all variables, including other retirement sources of income and those types of things.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and now at age 65, Medicare comes into play, right? And that's on a separate clock from Social Security.
Yeah, it is. And I remind everybody here, we do Medicare. Here we have two specialists in our office that specialize in Medicare and health insurance. And so something that all advisors have the access to. And so it's just something I like to point out. And so again, that is a distinction that trips people up often when you think Medicare eligibility begins at age 65, regardless of when you claim Social Security, that you're eligible at age 65. The enrollment window is about 7 months. It begins 3 months before the month of your 65th birthday. It includes your birthday month, and then it extends 3 months after. So if you miss that window without qualifying for a special enrollment period, you'll face a late enrollment penalty. The Part B penalty is generally 10% for each full 12-month period you delay. And unlike some financial penalties, this one doesn't go away. It follows you for as long as you have Medicare Part B coverage. Now the standard Part B premium in 2026 is $202.90 per month. And that's for basic outpatient coverage. Medicare does have multiple parts. It's got Part A for hospital coverage. It's got Part B for outpatient, Part D for prescription drugs. Plus, it's got Medicare Advantage and Medigap supplement options. And sorting through all of this is generally complex. And so this is an area where working with a financial advisor or a Medicare specialist could save you a bunch of money and possibly a lot of headaches there.
Okay, so that's 65. That's a big one. A lot of people wait until 65 to retire because of Medicare. It plays that important of a role in retirement planning. It's huge. Now we get to age 67. And that, I believe, is because it's full retirement age for a large portion of the current listeners and viewers out there, I would imagine.
For sure. Yeah, for anyone, again, born 1960 or later, something that covers a huge swath of people currently in their working years. Full retirement age for Social Security is age 67. So claiming at 67 means you receive your full unreduced benefit. The article does mention that this could change at some point as part of a broader Social Security reform discussion. But it does note that the change would be unlikely to affect anyone close to retirement. Last time they changed full retirement age was it was adjusted in 1983. And the youngest people affected when they were when they did this was they were in their early 20s. And so if you're anywhere near retirement age, you can plan around 67 with confidence.
Yeah, and this is big and relating to Social Security again, just like at age 62. Now we're talking about 67, which is full retirement age, and waiting until you're past age 67 to file for Social Security has an additional benefit, right?
Yeah, there is. Up through age 70, each year you delay claiming Social Security beyond your full retirement age, your benefit grows by roughly 8% a year. And that does stop at age 70. So there's no additional credit for waiting past 70. So if you haven't claimed by then, you should consider claiming. Waiting till 70 to claim is a strategy that maximizes that monthly income over a long retirement. That higher monthly payment could add up to significantly more lifetime benefits, assuming good health and longevity. It's not the right move for everyone, but for someone who's healthy, has sources of income to draw from in the interim, and wants to maximize their monthly Social Security check, waiting till 70 is seriously worth considering. There's also a tax coordination angle here. Social Security benefits could be taxable if your income exceeds certain thresholds. And so by delaying Social Security and drawing from other retirement accounts first, you may be able to manage your overall tax picture a little more strategically. And so again, that's a conversation worth having with someone like myself.
Yeah. Oh, it is. And Social Security is a big one. It's covering a few ages. So, 62, 67, and now 70. Those are three ages we hear thrown around when it comes to Social Security, but you can file at any age. You can file at 64 and 2 months. Yes. And that about every 2 months, that benefit amount is going to change that you add on to that. So you want to look at strategies for filing. Do not file for Social Security without having that Social Security maximization report run. And I know Ashton, that's something you do for your clients, and you can do for our listeners as well. For
sure.
So that's huge. And we've gone through all of these ages today, and one thing that strikes me is how interconnected they are.
Yeah.
I mean, even at 65, what you do at 65 can affect your tax picture at 73. It's not really a checklist that we're talking about here today. It's more of a sequence of dominoes. Like once you hit one, they start knocking the others over, don't they?
Yeah, it's a good way to think about it, Tony. And, and that's also where having a financial advisor in your corner could make a real difference. Because when you're living your life and working, raising a family, managing everything that comes at you, it's very easy to miss one of these windows or make a decision in isolation without realizing how it affects everything downstream, that domino effect, like you said. An experienced financial advisor isn't just tracking these dates for you. We help you think through the pieces and how they fit together, when you should start drawing from your IRA versus your 401k, how to manage your tax bracket. If you delay Social Security to 70, what do you live on in the meantime, and how does that affect your overall plan? Is a Roth conversion in your 60s worth doing before RMDs kick in at 73? And these aren't questions with universal answers. They depend on your income, your health, your family situation, your goals. We've been working with a lot of clients lately with these 25, 26, 27, 28 tax rules that are out there on doing conversions, because sometimes we can get that money out at a lower tax bracket.
Yeah, and that makes a big difference too. And it sounds from everything you're saying today, like the earlier somebody gets this kind of guidance, the more options that they're going to have available to them.
Yeah, that's really the bottom line. Many of those milestones have a window, and some of them are narrow. And once that window closes, the consequences can be permanent. A reduced Social Security benefit stays reduced. A Medicare late enrollment penalty follows you as long as you're enrolled in Medicare. Missing super catch-up years between 60 and 63 is time you can't get back. So again, working with someone who knows the landscape and can plan around you proactively rather than just reacting to the fact could be one of the more valuable financial decisions you make. And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I think that's great. Now, I think we have one age left. Let's close out with RMDs. You had alluded to them earlier, required minimum distributions. And these are one of those topics people probably don't think about until it's almost there. But a little pre-planning is probably a good idea.
Yeah, and so before they get there, not after, is exactly when you should start thinking about it. Under that Secure 2.0 Act, required minimum distributions is now age 73 for traditional IRAs, 401ks, and similar accounts. And then the RMD age is scheduled to increase again in the year 2020 or 2033 to age 75, which reflects how people are living longer, giving younger savers more time to let their accounts grow before they're required to take withdrawals.
Yeah. So how does the timing work on this?
Yeah, the deadline to take your RMD in any given year is December 31st, but there is a one-time exception for your first year that you have to take that RMD. You may delay until April 1st, the year after you turn 73. So if you turn 73, say in July of this year, you have until April 1st, 2027 to take that distribution. But it's something you want to be careful with, though, because if you delay until April, you'd also be taking your second RMD in 2027 calendar year, and that could push you into a higher tax bracket. So again, if you're still working at 73, you also may be able to delay RMDs from your current employer 401k plan. The exception generally doesn't apply to IRAs, though, because those follow that 73 rule regardless of your employment status. And so again, as I mentioned earlier, Roth IRAs are exempt from required minimum distributions entirely. There's no age at which the IRS requires you to start taking money out of a Roth IRA. And that's one of the features that makes the Roth account so valuable from a long-term planning perspective.
So a quick recap: at 49 and younger, the goal is to max out your contributions into accounts, your retirement accounts. And then at 50, take advantage of catch-up contributions. You mentioned at 55, there's the rule of 55, which allows penalty-free withdrawals.
Yep.
And then at 60 to 63, there's super catch-up contributions that are now allowed, which is huge.
Yeah.
And at 62, we know that's the earliest you can file for Social Security. At 65, it's Medicare eligibility. You start on Medicare. And then you mentioned 67. That's full retirement age for most of our listeners out there. And waiting until 70, the year age 70, that's the maximum Social Security filing age. And RMDs, our final age was 73. That's the age you need to start taking required minimum distributions out of any tax-deferred accounts. Those retirement accounts, the government will make you start taking out and taxing you for those. So, great show.
Yeah, no, that was a great summary, Tony. And again, these milestones aren't just numbers. Each one may carry real financial stakes, and knowing them in advance gives you time to make appropriate choices. So again, if any of today's conversation has you thinking about your own retirement guideline, give us a call, 952-873-2703. Again, that number is 952-873-2703, or visit us online at pankinonfinancial.com. That's PANKONIN financial.com to set up a complimentary consultation.
All right. Sounds great, Ashton. Listeners, thanks for tuning in. That does it for this episode of the Pankinen Financial Perspective with our host, Ashton Pankin.
Thank you for joining us for Pankinen Financial Perspective. Don't head into retirement without a plan for both your finances and your health. For more information, contact Ashton Pankinen at Pankinen Financial Group at 952-873-2703 or visit pankinonfinancialgroup.com. Join us again soon for another episode of Pankinen Financial Perspective. Advisory services are offered by Ashton Pankinen LLC DBA Pankinen Financial Group, an investment advisor in the state of Minnesota.
All matters discussed during the show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. We are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration, the Federal Medicare Program, or any other government agency. Calling this number will direct you to a licensed sales agent.